In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the DX Commander Classic from DX Commander over in the UK. Stick around. A few months ago, I was doing some research on different antennas, and I came across the DX Commander line of antennas. And the DX Commander line of antennas are it's a multi-band dipole, like a fan antenna, but it's vertical. It doesn't go horizontally, it's vertical in length. And I did a little more research of this particular antenna, and it's manufactured by DX Commander, a company owned by Callum McCormick. And if you've been familiar with ham radios, you've probably seen his YouTube channel as well. And it's based in the UK. I figured I'd give one of these antennas a shot. Now, the particular model of antenna that I decided to purchase was the DX Commander Classic. It's not the most expensive, but it's not the least expensive either. But it seemed like it would serve my purpose well. Now, this particular antenna measures in at 10 meters, which is about 30 feet, 33 feet, somewhere around that area in length, and it is ground mounted. And it does have two plates, the feed plate and the radial plate, and both attached to the pole itself. And the pole is amazingly, even with the wires on it, amazingly lightweight, that even one person can handle it and lift it and move it around if they need to. Another factor I liked about this antenna is I do live in an HOA, and they kind of frown on antennas being seen from the street. Well, since this particular antenna, the DX Commander Classic, is ground mounted, I can put it on the backyard and it'll still go up around 30 feet, 33 feet, but you won't see it from the front of the house at all. And besides that, I've got it kind of nestled in with some trees, so it's camouflaged there as well. And besides, the HOA's got enough to worry about because I do have a vertical antenna. It's up on a 40-something foot pole for my VHF, UHF antenna. And they have to contend with that, and there's nothing I can do about that. With VHF, UHF, of course, height is might. So anyway, let's get back to the DX Commander. Now, the DX Commander Classic is a 6 frequency antenna, vertical antenna, dipole. And it does require radials, and I do have about 32 radials out. I'll be showing you all this in the backyard in just a little bit. And the frequencies I've chosen are the 10 meter, 12 meter, 17 meter, 20 meter, 40 meter, and 80 meter bands. Now, according to the instructions, you can run either the 30 meter or the 80 meter on this particular antenna, but looking at this antenna and the way it's built and the configuration of the plates, I feel that you could probably run a 30 meter as well, making it a 7-band vertical antenna, vertical dipole. But I haven't done that yet, and that's going to be down the road. I may be a little experimentation down the road. But like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and try it with these particular bands. Now, I'm not going to do an unboxing or how to build on this antenna. There's plenty of good YouTube videos out there that cover that, and if I did it, it would just be beating a dead horse because these other videos get very in-depth, and I don't think that I could probably improve on what they put out there. So do research and do your own research on this, and I'm sure you can find some out of the box things and builds on these antennas. But let me tell you right now, just as far as building it goes, one person can build it. Take your time. It takes about an afternoon because you do have to cut your radials. You do have to cut your your elements and everything, get them measured and cut right, and then you do have to crimp them onto the hooks, the I hooks or the U hooks, that is. So it does take time to actually get all the stuff prepared. But once you've got all your elements prepared and the radials prepared, assembling it and finding a location first, that's going to be nothing. But finding a location, once you get it ready to assemble, the whole assembly process and erection of this particular antenna is really quite easy. One thing to note though, on the assembly instructions, it showed that you could mount not only the the feed plate, plus the radial plate itself to the antenna. Now, I didn't mount the bottom radial plate to the antenna itself. what I did was I left that unattached or unmounted, I guess, to the mast itself. And the reason I did that is I can unguy the antenna relatively quickly, and I can lower it without having to worry about detaching the either the feed line going to the shack or the elements itself, the U-hooks to the elements. I can just leave that in place on the ground and just lift the antenna up. The only thing that I do have to disconnect is the SO239 that is attached to the upper feed plate. I do have to disconnect that particular connection in order to actually move the antenna, but disconnecting one connector compared to disconnecting 7 or 8 different connectors, it makes taking this antenna down and putting it up, the maintenance on it is a breeze. Well, enough from me. Let's just go outside and take a look at this. This is a view of my backyard, and there is my DX Commander Classic sitting there. It's not centered in the yard because, as you can see, I have got quite a few trees and foliage in my backyard, which gives me a little bit limited space. But I have got it setting just a few feet from the fence line, the rear fence line, and it extends up into past the tree line. It's actually not into the trees itself. This is just a shot where there's a branch that's actually blocking the view. It's just another view of my DX Commander Classic. As it's reported, it is 10 meters long. And as you can see, it's not actually in the trees, it's in an open area. The trees do not affect the HF signal at all. I have gotten some good reports, and I have made contacts while this antenna is in this location. I have gotten some contacts from Italy, South Africa, Bulgaria, and the UK. That's on the far end. I have gotten some from Spain and Jamaica and Caribbean area as well. Now my coax cable I'm using on this is RG213, and as you can see, I've trenched it. I'm using direct burial cable. So the cable itself is going into the ground, no conduit, just it's direct bury, just into the ground. And as you can see, the trench line is starting to fill in some and grow over. But that goes all the way over to the house and into the shack. I am running 32 radials at the suggested length, and they come with the instructions with the Classic, DX Commander Classic. And these wires, you can see them, are laying on the ground. I did not trench them in, but they are laying all over the ground and out and about throughout the whole yard here. I am using lawn staples to keep them down. And what I'm going to do is, since I have to contend with roots from these trees here, what I'm going to do is just let the ground coverage take them over. It'll take about a season, but by this time next year they'll be completely underground on their own, and I don't have to worry about it. Until then, I just use a high level on my lawnmower when I want to mow the grass. Okay, we'll take a look at the SWR readings on my Occom 7300. Now, I've already run the whole antenna through my Rig Express AA 600 meter and did a graph on all of them. And there are some of these that do need to be worked on. There's some that have not even been trimmed. When I put the elements on this antenna, I got the measurements off the DX Commander Classic instructions, which is, like I said, downloadable from DX Commander. and I cut each one of these elements long so I could cut it back. I didn't want to cut it too short, but I left them long intentionally so I can cut them back. And some of these I have not gone back and retuned yet, so I'll let you know which ones have been retuned and which have not. And with that being said, let's go ahead. We're going to start with the 10-meter band, and this particular band I have not tuned yet. I've got to get out there and do that, but I'm doing it one or two at a time because it takes a little time to trim it and make sure you get it right. Or actually, in my case, I fold it over and twist it back, and it works the same as cutting it. So let's go ahead and start with the 10-meter band. I'm going to do a complete 100% complete sweep across the whole band, which is going to be from 28.0 to 29.7. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay. This is the 10-meter band. Of course, the 10-meter band would happen to be one of the very wide bands here. Yeah, but we're coming up to the conclusion, sorry. Also, just to let you know that I am making these tests in 10 kilohertz segments, so that's why this is taking a little bit longer than I intended it to. Okay, it stopped at 29.698. The end of the band is 29.700. Like I said, 10 kilohertz segments. So, as you can see, most of the band is not quite in resonant, but it did have an area up in the probably the upper 2/3 of the band where it definitely was resonant and had some good signals there. And of course, like I said, this particular band has not been tuned at all. This is just when I cut it long. So if I want to adjust where I want this band to be resonant, I have to go and shorten the antenna somewhat. All right, let's go to the next band, which is our 12-meter band. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and test the 12-meter band here, which runs from 24.890 to 24.990. Again, I'm going to sweep the whole frequency in 10 kilohertz segments here. And also this band has not been tuned yet either. Okay, not being tuned, it's not quite hitting 3.0, it is over 2.0. Be manageable with an antenna tuner. But this one, once I trim it down some, I'll be able to get part of the band more in the resonant range where I want it to. So that was the 12 meter. Let's go ahead and go to the 17 meter band. Okay, our 17 meter band runs from 18.068 to 18.168. Again, the 17 meter band also has not been tuned yet. It's got the existing wire, the measurement plus up on the antenna. So let's just see what kind of SWR we have on the 17 meter. Okay, as you can see, the 17 meter too needs some work on it. It's almost at 3.0. Again, like I said, this band has not been tuned either, so it's not really resonant anywhere yet. So let's go ahead and go to our next band, which is going to be the 20 meter band. Okay, our 20 meter band runs from 14.0 to 14.350 on the megahertz scale there. Now this particular band has been tuned, so let's go ahead and do a sweep across the whole 20 meter band and show the SWR. Okay, as you can see, the 20 meter band is pretty resonant across most of the band, where it starts to creep up a little bit towards the upper end of the band. Not quite making the 2.0 SWR yet. Everything's very manageable with a tuner below the 1.5 as well. I'm sorry, above the 1.5. So this particular band seems to be resonant in a good portion of the band. All right, let's go now to one of the most popular bands, the 40 meter band, and see how this one is coming out. Now, the 40 meter band has been actually tuned as well. Now, the 40 meter band runs from 7.00 to 7.300 in megahertz. So let's go ahead and do a complete scan on this particular band, one of the most popular frequencies or meters that is in the ham radio world. This one, like I said, has been tuned. That's the 40 meter band. As you see, it starts to creep up a little bit towards the higher end of the frequency there. But it's actually, most of it, again, is very resonant. This one I have tuned already. I wanted to tune around the 150 to 200 range, somewhere in that area. So that tuned just quite nicely. So let's go to our next and final band, which is the 80 meter band. This particular meter, or this frequency that is, has been tuned as well. Okay, 80 meters runs from 3.500 to 4.000. So let's do a complete sweep here. And this one has been tuned. Now, I did notice before that 80 meters, depending on wind conditions too, it could antenna just swaying in the breeze and everything. Sometimes it will fluctuate some. So let's see, it's a little breezy outside right now, so let's see what the SWR reads across the band. Okay, that's the 80 meter band. As you can see, it's pretty resonant across a good portion of the band, and 80 meters being as narrow as it is sometimes as far as trying to get it resonant, I think this antenna did pretty well. This definitely did pretty well. So that's all of my bands that I have on this particular antenna, and with the exceptions of ones that have not been quite tuned yet, I think this antenna does very well for its size and its weight, its construction. It's overall just a fantastic antenna as far as I'm concerned. In summary, I consider the DX Commander, the DX Commander Classic in this case, a very good investment on my part. The antenna itself is very well made, very well designed, and very durable. Not only that, the lightweightness of this particular antenna makes it very easy for it to be managed by one person. Two would be great, but one person is no problem at all. Once you get a guide down, it's very easy to maintain. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope I gave you some information that might be useful to you. And check out DX Commander and Callum McCormick's YouTube channel as well, DX Commander by the same name. Until then, 73, and we'll hope to hear you on the air.